Hi, it's Frictionless Data, and today I'm going to show a new project called Frictionless Repository. It's a continuous data validation service that is created for GitHub, and it's been implemented as a GitHub action that you can easily enable for your data repository. So to show how it works, I'm going to clone this currency codes repo. So forking to my GitHub account and enable frictionless workflow. So you can find how to do so in the repository documentation. So I'm creating a file called GitHub workflows frictions.yaml. And just copying these contents from the docs. One thing, GitHub actions can be configured to be triggered by different events, and the docs contains this section showing that it will be triggered by push to, for example, main branch. This repository has master branch instead of main branch, so we're going to rename it. Okay, so saving the configuration file, and now there is a .github workflows frictions YAML. Once it's added to the repository, GitHub starts to run the action we added. So you can see the status. So some checks haven't completed yet, so let's wait for it to be done. There is a actions tab at the top, so we also can navigate our action running using this tab. Okay. On GitHub also we can see the log, and currently it's preparing the action, and then it will be validating our data. And our data here is a data package pointing to one CSV file called codes all. Okay, it's done. As we can see, the data is valid. And let's go to the validate data group, and we can find the link to the validation report. Okay, there is one file and it's valid, but it would be nicer to have a badge on our repo. So we clicked on the badge button and we can copy this code and add it to our README file. Okay, here we go. Now this repo will be validated on every push to its default branch. Okay, now let's break our data intentionally to see how Frictionless repository shows errors. Let's open our data folder and find our CSV file. Okay, it seems that numeric code is a number, so let's make it a string and commit changes. So now we can see this bad string instead of number. As you have already seen, the validation starts immediately, and we can see in the Actions tab that there is a update codes all.csv commit is going to be validated soon. So let's wait. While it's running, we can check our data package.json. And it says, as we guessed earlier, that numeric code is number. So it has to fail. Yes, it failed. And I'm going to show how to find this validation report. So the easiest way is to click on this red button and click on details. GitHub redirects us to the validate data step, which failed, and there will be a link. So we are clicking on the link. Now we can see the error. Frictionless repository can be used with no configuration. The only one file we had to add was a GitHub action file that needs to be added for every GitHub action. But at the same time, Frictionless repository supports almost all the features that Frictionless framework supports, and it can be triggered and configured using all the options that GitHub Actions support. So I'm going to show how to add a configuration file. So currently we have a bad CSV file, and I'm going to fix it. Unfortunately, I can't remember the code, so let's say it's 500. Okay, so now our CSV is going to pass validation, and I'm going to add a frictionless YAML file to the .github directory. The documentation has a good overview of the configuration file that you can add to .github/frictionless.yaml. And in our case, I just going to point to our CSV file instead of using data package.json. So the thing that when we used this codes all, I mean currency codes repository, we used a project this data package JSON, and Frictionless repository was able to detect this data package and use it. So we're going to create a configuration file that just points to the CSV path. So the path is codes all data / codes all CSV. So I'm committing Frictionless YAML. Okay, there can be one point of confusion, and it's the difference between that GitHub folder and workflows folder. In workflows folder, we store also Frictionless YAML, but it can be named differently. It can be named like general or my workflow or anything. So we use here Frictionless only for convenience. And in the .github folder, there is a Frictionless repository configuration file that needs to be named exactly like this. Okay, let's take a look on our actions. Yeah, as expected, after we fixed our bad CSV string, it's now passing the tests. But let's see what's happened for our new configuration. Nope, it's failed. Let's click on details. Okay, yeah, you see this is failed. To be honest, I knew that it was coming because there is a column called minor unit, and in our data package.json, this column is a string. But because we decided to use our Frictionless repository configuration file and just declared it as a CSV file, not using data package.json at all, Frictionless inferred a type of this column, and Frictionless now think that it's a number. Okay, so I'm going to provide a proper schema for this file. So first of all, I'll infer a schema using this URL. And put it to the Frictionless YAML file. Okay, but I'm going to add missing values future, and our problem that there are dashes and need dashes to be empty values. And also like normal empty values will be missing values. Okay, so I'm going to save this schema. And while it's being validated, I'm going to remind that Frictionless repository is just a wrapper around Frictionless framework and GitHub Actions. And based on this fact, you can reuse a lot of features of Frictionless framework. So in the doc, there is a quick introduction into some options. For example, schema we used, or validation details, and you can also read Frictionless framework documentation to learn much more about different validation options that you can reuse in Frictionless repository. Okay, so let's take a look on our action. It's running. Okay, and our hope that adding missing values will solve the problem with the minor unit column. Okay, here we go. It's now passing. Earlier we added a Frictionless badge, so we can just use it to see the report. Okay, here we go. Okay, that's it. It was a quick introduction to Frictionless repository project and data validation, continuous data validation in general. I just wanted to add that on every validation failure, you will get an email notification, which is important to be informed about the data quality of your project. And also, just want to add that at Frictionless Data, we think that data quality is just crucial for anything related to data, because you can't do anything good if you have like bad data, broken data. So yeah, we recommend to validate data on every push to GitHub, and please try our Frictionless repository project. Thank you.